Hi, I'm Josh Hanosh with Three29. Welcome to today's webinar. I'm joined by a friend and an expert when it comes to marketing businesses, especially when it comes to a very localized footprint. I'm joined by Bryan Flaherty from the Business Journal. He is the marketing director there. Bryan, welcome to the webinar.
Thanks. Nice. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, thanks for making time for this. I know you're a busy guy, and I'm always looking to try to add value to people who follow me on LinkedIn, and whether that be clients or friends or just random people that I don't know. And you came to mind because we've been talking about there's so many different channels to market a company, and we're touching on all of those. And the theme is basically you have all these different channels, which we've broken down into four: in-person, digital, physical, which is like billboards, signs on buses, things like that. And then like sales team, like you have a whole sales team and they are tasked to do X, Y, and Z in terms of marketing a company. And we've been talking about how they all relate to one another. And obviously 329, we're a digital marketing agency and we focus on the digital side, but that doesn't mean we don't provide strategy in all the other areas. And in fact, over the last couple of years, we've become experts in helping people get their message out in the non-digital realms while connecting it all digitally so that they can track their ROI better, which I know is something you probably get asked about all the time is what's the ROI on ad spend at the Sacramento Business Journal. So just real quick, I mean, if anyone doesn't know, if they're not in Sacramento, they may or may not have an entity like the Sacramento Business Journal, which I've got awards behind me from SBJ, which has been like really cool. And I feel really honored to be a part of that.
Yeah.
But for anyone that's watching that is in Sacramento, who is the SBJ? What do they do? What is the value that they give our business community?
Yeah. I think where you started listing out the various forms of marketing is very true to us as well, right? So we're a three-pronged organization. We are print is still extremely strong in our world. Our digital platform is strong as well and growing. With email kind of falls under our digital in our digital box, and then events are a massive revenue driver, a massive benefit that we offer brands in the community trying to reach, those hard to reach B2B decision makers, but also, for the business community themselves. So we are truly believers that, like you're talking about, a holistic approach to advertising, to marketing is the best play. But as far as the Business Journal themselves, we are a Sacramento Business Journal. We are owned by American City Business Journals. So for anybody in other markets, we have 43 across the United States, and you likely have a business journal in your metro area or close to it. So, one benefit we work on is we can maximize geographical targeting that way, right? So if you're a Sacramento company and you want to work in San Francisco or work in Portland, Oregon, we can help with that too. So that's a little bit about what we do.
Cool. Yeah. And you and I have had discussions around zero-click SEO. And for anyone that's watching, if you don't know what zero-click SEO is, it's a really important topic that we'll cover more of and that I've already done one webinar on. But it's basically you go on search and you type in a question that you need an answer to, and you get the answer you're looking for without actually having to go to a website. It just shows up right there on search. And now they've incorporated AI. And we also talked about how search is not even starting on Google anymore. It's starting within YouTube. It's starting within different apps like Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn. And basically what we're seeing is a shift in marketing where you can't just rely on getting at the top getting the top spot on a Google search result, you have to actually go out and tell your story through visual media, whether that's print, video on either TV, YouTube, other like platforms like social media. Where does the SBJ fall into that strategy of just brand awareness and getting a company's name out there?
Yeah, we're audience, and whenever we're talking to somebody, it's who are you trying to reach, and a lot of our conversation is when, right? So we are trying to reach those business decision makers where they are, and CEOs, founders, successful executives. You reach them where they're trying to learn and grow their business and grow their career. And I think that's kind of where an advantage we have. But again, it starts with where the audience is and who it is. And the faster you can define that, and the faster we can understand that, the better recommendations that we can make to put you, in front of them in any way we can.
Yeah. And we find that all the time. A lot of our clients, when they are B2B, the question is, how do we get in front of the decision makers? Because it's hard to get in front of them. Their time is very valuable. They're definitely not doing Google searches on the problems that they're hiring agencies to solve, which is like your business. They are reading articles, they're reading white papers, they're going to networking events, talking with their friends, their colleagues, just their peer group on what's working within their industry or adjacent industries. And so for us, since we recognize that, we rely on helping people at events or helping tie print media, if it's in a journal that an executive is reading, or the online edition of that, and tying that back to like a landing page that we can track results on if that ad or that article had the right ROI that the client was looking for. How do you see that playing out in your role with SBJ?
Yeah, and I skated a little bit of your question there about branding and making that connection to a branding strategy that leads to something that an agency like what you guys do can really track and then show the ROI. I talked about audience in B2B. Our general rule of thumb is 95% of your audience is not ready to buy at this time, right? Josh, we talked about this yesterday. How many times have you switched a bank? You don't switch a lawyer, you don't switch insurance provider unless they screw up, and then you want to be there. So it's branding on the B2B side is the ultimate tiebreaker. So when that happens, who's there for you? And so with folks with the digital capabilities with agencies like yourselves is you can track the person, you can track the ad. Did they see the ad? And then once they're in that marketing funnel, you can start to determine where did they start? Where did they see ads? Where did they see the first ad? Did they engage with any sort of content throughout the process that when they were ready to make that jump, Bank A was the first one they decided to call. So that's where a relationship between what we do, who a brand is, and their intelligence, and then where you guys can come in and help, can really create a dynamic partnership that we all hold each other accountable. We're all in it for the same reasons, and we're all smarter working together than separately.
Yeah. And I think the power of that is what you said that earlier in terms of executives, business owners are always trying to educate themselves on how to do better, how to be better, and creating, we work with companies a lot where it's like, we have this great product or service, we want to get it out there, and we want you guys to run Google ads. Mm-hmm. And then we go and we look at the search volume, and there's no search volume for that because no one is looking for that solution, let alone they may not even know that they even have that specific problem. Mm-hmm. So then we come back to the client and we're like, okay, Google Ads is not going to work right now. What we need is a brand awareness strategy on here's who your company is, here's the problem that we solve, and educate, like, you actually have this problem that we're solving, and here's why we're the best solution for it. And we're finding that, creating content on a website is definitely important, but creating content in a place that people go to learn but aren't actually looking to solve that specific problem is the best case. SEO relies on someone identifying, right, understanding that they already know what the problem is and they're searching for that answer. Brand awareness strategies are for people who are looking to be the best versions of themselves, or looking for their company the best version of itself, and they know that they could always be better, but they just don't know how to improve. And so you get that LinkedIn ad in front of them that's a quick video that educates them on X.
Yeah.
Then you get that other that quick video on YouTube that educate them about the same problem. They go to a networking event that, let's say the SBJ puts on, and they're talking with their peer group, and someone educates them, or they're reading the Business Journal and there's an article about that problem and the solution. And I feel like the SBJ is, at least in Sacramento and across the 43 cities that the parent company owns, is uniquely positioned to offer that space, almost like the incubator of knowledge.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of companies miss either, and this will be interesting to see what you hear on this, or like to hear your take is, I've heard so many times like, the ad in the magazine, in whatever magazine or that billboard didn't work. And I always question, how long was it running for? And who built the ad? And was it just a one-off? Because we all know that you can't just show one ad. You've got to have different versions of it. So this is a very long question, but basically, what is SBJ's role in helping companies either work with agencies or work with themselves to tell that story correctly in terms of the problem that they're trying to solve, and the ways in which SBJ goes about getting that knowledge out there?
Yeah. So, one thing we did early on when we realized that we refer to it as native advertising, right? Sponsored content, clearly labeled, but it is pay to play, right? One thing we realized early on is that if we're going to do this and our audience is going to stay with us, we hold our audience pretty close to our chest, because we know it's in, the decision makers in whatever region we're in. They're on our website to learn, to better their business, to read relevant news, ethically positive or, ethically respected news content. And if we do sponsor, we need to do it the right way. So we've held standards where it needs to be thought leadership driven. And you're exactly right. We have data, we've done this for a number of years in a number of cities. We have data that shows the more times you name your company name, you watch that page dwelling drop off quickly. And so the hardest thing to do is to tell the client it needs to be thought leadership focused. It can't be self-promotional.
Salesy.
It can't be salesy, because people smell it real quick, especially we're educated people they'll smell it real quick. And they'll stop, and you're wasting your money. So, from a relationship with somebody who's got experience in content, that's great coming from us. We always advise that, but having another person who's advising on just don't make it salesy. Be strategic about this. It's hard for companies to swallow that pill, right? They agree with me in meetings, and they agree with my team in meetings, and then they get down to writing, and I look at it and I kind of roll my eyes. So, a strong content strategy, a strong content partner, whether internal, external, wherever you're finding that is vital to making, to seeing the ROI you want to see. There are funny things like if you use if you're listing, right? 5 ways SEO is going to grow your business in 2025. Odd numbers do better than even, and there's all kinds of those tricks. So, it just comes from experience on our side, on your side, and it helps bring out the best in clients because they are experts in this subject. And if you're, a respected executive in town, people want to hear from you, whether it's sponsored or not, but people want to hear from you and not a company statement of some sort. So
yeah,
big believers in content over here. I mean, that's what's made our publication successful from an editorial side of things. We're very church and state, and we've dabbled in, and we do it strong. We're a strong player in the native advertising space now, and we're proud of what we built, and we're proud of the standards we continue to hold people to because of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's such a great reminder for everyone that's listening or watching, is that I always tell our clients, would you buy that after watching that ad? Like if a client comes to us and is like, we want to run an ad like this, or we want to have this like content made, and the answer is pretty much always like, no, like that's super salesy. Like people don't want to be sold to, because we're sold to all the time. And people appreciate, like you said earlier, a genuine thought leader that is just giving out their knowledge. Because chances are someone's going to find the answer regardless of if you give it to them or not, whether it's going to be you or someone else. Mm-hmm. So it might as well be you to establish that trust and relationship. And there should be no expectation of, okay, this one ad is going to get us like whatever, 10 clients. It's not about the one ad.
Yeah.
It's about creating this environment of trust, and knowledge and excellence in, this webinar is a perfect example. Like, I'm not expecting to get a client. I would be shocked if I got an email that was like, oh, Josh, like I watched your first episode and like, I want to become a client. Like, I wouldn't even expect that after like the 10th one or even an episode at all. Like it would be like me building a relationship with them, however well I can, like through this. And I feel like, and learning to trust me and to see that I actually know what I'm talking about rather than me telling them that I know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And I feel like people need to approach advertising, especially like in the SBJ, the same way. Like, have a very thoughtful article, followed up by another thoughtful article, followed up by another thoughtful article, and have them connected to digital assets where the ROI can be tracked on visitors. If there's contact information given, following up just in a thoughtful, non-salesy way. And that's the other thing that, and I'd be interested to get your take on this, digitally, but especially physically and even digitally to some extent, you only have so much real estate to communicate your message. I feel like one superpower of having your physical ads connected to a digital like next step is it basically just expands what you can talk about. So, I don't know if you have anything to say along those lines, where it's like you pair the physical piece and then what does the continuation look like off, or I guess online?
Yeah. And I think the key there is in our space, and this applies to any media vendor, publication, or broadcast partner. They're there at different times for different reasons, right? We have a morning edition and afternoon edition newsletter. We use that as it's an editorial product that goes out to our audience. Does it make sense for your message to be in the morning? Does it make sense for your message to be in the afternoon? People read print comes in on Fridays, right? People read print differently than they read our website. Print's obviously typically referred to as something someone's sitting down with. They're in a business mindset, but they're not moving as fast as they may when they visit our website for a particular reason. So we are, if we can pair all those things together for a client, there's a slightly different audience in each, but each has its own specific benefits. And When we pair that together and strategically align with content or lists or things that are unique to us, content or contextual advertising could be applied to any partner you work with. It touches people at different times in the right ways, and it starts to build some familiarity.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't really have anything else to add. I feel like I could just keep talking about this and saying the same thing because sometimes I feel like people almost don't believe me when I say, and what you said is like, the less salesy, the better. And I think we could just talk around.
Yeah, I mean, I think about it. You come to a lot of our events. Hopefully, I think hopefully a lot of your listeners and viewers have been to our events too. But if you're walking up to somebody and manufacturer A is in the room, and you go to introduce yourself to the decision maker, we're all naturally going to try to build a relationship, offer them something of value, and not shove sales collateral and sales thoughts kind of down their throat. And that's how you would approach. I think that's how you kind of have to think about advertising too, right?
Yeah.
Be genuine, show them that your brand is strong. A brand that isn't known, I've been on both sides of this. A brand that isn't known, it's a lot harder to get those meetings. And all of a sudden you slap a brand on that's well known, and people are much more likely to, to entertain your call or meeting or kind of whatever your request is. So it all works together. But, I guess I encourage people and you do as well to try it, learn from it, optimize it, try it again. And it's really should be viewed as almost like a water bill or something, right? You got to keep doing it. You got to keep doing it. And it pays off over time. Sometimes it's hard to scratch together the ROI right away, but if you do it right and you start to do programs around events, you can physically see the benefit of what you've done.
Yeah.
They'll know you, right? They'll know your face. I think I told you yesterday, there's a few banks in town that we work with that use their top business bankers in their ads, and those folks are recognizable now. And when people get on stage, they feel a power and feel a presence that they didn't feel before. So there's lots out there. There's lots of different strategies, but yeah, just jumping in and moving forward and believing in the strategy is key.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Well, I say we end on those wise words.
Yeah, sure.
Bryan, I really appreciate your time. I know.
Thanks for having me. A lot of fun.
Yeah. Thanks. So. Yeah. I'm glad you did. And everyone watching and listening, thank you for joining us. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll be back with another episode.